Cameron, hello, and thank you for joining us for another segment of Cameron with Authors Inside. If you like our content, please hit the like button, subscribe, so you can receive more notification like this. Today, I have a guest with me that's a real genuine individual, and I had the opportunity and pleasure to see his part of his growth, and he's always been a competitor. We battled each other on the basketball court a few times, and it's always been a pleasant challenge. With that, I'm going to allow him to introduce himself.
My name is Tony, Tony Urbina. I'm here. Also know Emmanuel. We did some time, inside prison. I'm a former lifer. I ended up. My original sentence was 115 to life, and so I did. Off of that, I did 18 years off of a 21 to life sentence after I had to reduce a 94-year reduction. And so, just out here, just enjoying the blessings and really, just soaking it all in, man.
That's good. Man, that's a long time. How long have you been out?
And so now it's been a little bit over 3 years.
3 years?
I was released, yeah, I was released February 5th, 2020.
Okay. Could you share with our viewers a bit about your personal journey and how and what motivates you to change throughout that journey?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, so, just, really, I went in at the age of 20. And so at that time, like, I didn't really know any better. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And so I just fell in line. I fell in line with everybody else and, really played the politics and, just really, did what I was told, just trying to survive. And, so I would say that the good, better half of my prison sentence was still spent like how I was doing it on the streets, which consisted of destruction, really not doing anything to educate myself, just continuing the same type of behaviors, that I was participating out on, streets in prison. And,
Yeah.
just eventually like you get a little bit older and so I just started to make those changes. And I remember when I was in the documentation hearing and, the board member at that time, told me like he goes, so if you came into this board or if you came into board today, I would deny you 7 years. And he followed that up by telling me, he goes, however, like, it's really up to you because we're letting people go home now. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you go home. And that's completely up to you. And so at that time, like, the light bulb went off, like, and the hope kind of like really came in. Like, I always had hope, but that really instilled hope and gave me like a vision of like, okay, I can actually, regain a life, regain my life and be given a second chance outside of prison. And
Mhm.
so when that light went off, still like I still battled. I always like to compare my change to like an onion where I peel layers back. And it took me many years to really peel those layers back, one by one and really doing the work necessary. Whether it was like writing and figuring out, why I did what I did and why I participated in being in the gang and hurting other people, and just really starting to figure all that stuff out. And just really led me to, different type of opportunities as I, went down different levels. And, there I was able to, hold on to those opportunities, whether it was education or different type of groups and programming. And just from there, just
Yeah.
continue in that different type of
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Yeah. Can you share with our viewers what was your upbringing like? We're trying to let these youngsters see that, man, before you end up and go down the route we went, you need to stop right now and listen to your teacher, listen to your coach, whoever's in your life trying to tell you to do right. Because what was your upbringing like? We're not trying to glamorize our prison stay. We want them to know the real and raw, ugly truth about it.
Yeah, so I grew up in low poverty apartments. No crime was there, gangs were there. Also growing up like in domestic violence home, where abuse was taking place. Really like my mom, she was an addict and, she pretty much left my household and I was left with my dad. And,
Mhm.
just things didn't really work out with my dad, and I
Yeah.
had a stepmom. I didn't know how to take that. I didn't really know how to receive that, and so I just started, rebelling. And the more that it seemed like I was rebelling, looking for attention, the more that I would either get disciplined or not be allowed to do things, and that just drove me to do it even more. I could really like recall like the first time that I actually thought about being in gangs at the age of 9, and I remember telling my dad, I was like, I want to be a cholo, and I was just straight up with him and told him, and I think that really propelled him to like, think like, okay, I'm just gonna really like isolate him from whatever's out there. And the more that that happened, the more I seeked it. And with my mother, it was like the complete opposite. I could do whatever I wanted to with her. Pretty much from whatever behaviors, whether it was smoking weed, drinking, I was allowed to do that with my mom, no problem. And so there was really no structure, and like I always say, like I've pretty much been on my own since like the age of 12, because there was no stability, either going in and out of foster homes, placement, living with different family members, living with different friends, whatever it may be. Like there was really no structure, a lot of bouncing around, up until pretty much I committed my life crime.
Yeah. Now, during your time in prison, what was your mindset? How did you get through each day before you changed? How did what was your mindset?
When I first got to prison, or
Yeah, throughout your stay in prison before your change happened.
at that time, my mindset was always looking for validation. I remember a board member asked me this too, and he said, okay, you commit your crime, you did what you did for your neighborhood, like, you did that, right? So you get to prison and you still continue to do the same thing, right? At
Yeah.
that point, you had did what you did. So why are you still seeking validation? And I always, like my response to that was that, the validation was never good enough. Um, it's just that's the way the game was, right? Like it was, if you did something, there's always more that you could do. And so that was my mentality of like, how can I prove myself? How can I validate, and really like the image that I had, this image that I had built, like, and making sure that I portray that to gain respect and gain, good standing, whatever it may be.
Right. And what was the feeling like related to your experience?
So I would say like there would be like a lot of fear, fear of not standing on my own 2 feet. And so really being in other people's good graces, making sure that I'm doing whatever I can so that first off I survive, and then two, like I'm in good standing. And so that was always something that was on my mind. Like, okay, like how do I continue to fall in line so that way I stay out the way? And one of the things that like really, that the way that I thought that would be a best fit for me was to get into the politics. So then I wouldn't really be too much hands on, but I'd be the one behind the scenes. And to me, like I look back at it now, and it's that's a lot of times that's even worse, right? Because you're putting other people in different type of situations and positions, But that was the way that I went about it, just
Mhm.
to survive and get through, my time. And at least that's what I told myself at that time.
Yeah. Okay. Now that you out, Tone, what are you doing now?
Okay, so now, I mean, now things have really, drastically changed for me. I'm being an adult, really. I mean, that's the best way that I could put it. Paying taxes like anybody else. I am employed. I'm actually a job coach for formerly incarcerated, with an
Mhm.
organization called Center for Employment Opportunities. It's a program that I actually went through myself when I was first released from prison. And so, really, just having an opportunity to get back and do things that I actually love and feel like I'm making a difference is something that motivates me.
Mhm.
Outside of that, just been blessed enough to be out here, living a good family life. When I was incarcerated, I was married. I met my wife while I was incarcerated. Now just recently had our second child.
Oh.
Have two beautiful baby boys. Which I remember at one point I didn't even know if I would ever have kids. So I mean, looking at it now, I got two boys, and it's just been a blessing, man. Really, enjoying the family life, and making connections, because I feel like being out here, it feels like that's kind of like a lost art. where human connection doesn't seem as important as it was when I went into prison. And so that's something that I try to make a big effort of. Like if I could help people out, whether it's my family or just reaching out to others and staying connected, um, that feels like been a big help for me.
Man, for one, thank you for your living amends. Two,
Thank you.
congratulations on your two sons. I
Appreciate
know you're
that.
a proud father.
Oh, definitely, man. You
Yeah,
know, biggest blessings I've ever had in my life. So
yeah,
that's
I'm
for
very
sure.
happy. I'm very happy for you. Yeah, and like I said, man, thank you for being here. I just wanted
Thank you.
you to share with our viewers, your journey, and also if you were to come across a youngster, or whether it be boy or girl, or someone who's headed down a wrong path, what would you say to that youngster?
You know, this is also another question that I had on board too. So it's
Oh, is
like a
that
lot
right?
of these, like yeah, and they did present it like a little bit different, right? Where it was, if you could talk to your younger self, what would you tell that person, right? And so, the biggest thing that I think about now is, really latching on to resources, latching on to people that are actually willing to help. um like I did that in a negative way, right? I latched on to the wrong type of environment, where it was like, okay, I was hurt and I'm hurting people. There's other options, and so taking those options into consideration, I know now, like when I was released from prison, I really latched on to any resource that I had available to me, and it was a tremendous help for me to, really propel myself to be able to have a successful reentry. And so I would have to say, really just like the people that love you, the people that are showing that, the people that have your best interests at heart, keep those people in your life. Really hold on to them. And we know that as adolescents and teenagers, sometimes it's hard for people to get through to us. And so maybe like it's not at that moment, but it's something that stands in your mind, at some point, and it's something that you could circle back on. One thing that I thought about too was like, one of my foster parents. I remember she told me, she goes, "Look, you're pretty much on the fence, like, and you have a choice of what side you want to go to." And for me, like, I felt like I went to obviously the wrong side of the fence, and it took me a long time to be able to, come to my senses and realize, where I want to be in life and where I was at the time. And so now it's just, like, getting the help that's available and connecting and staying focused.
Appreciate you, man. There's people behind us. These youngsters, they need to hear that, man. They need to hear
Yeah.
they need to hear our experiences and hear it off to the side. We believe everyone has a story to tell, and it's not just a story; it's our testimony. So, and who can tell the story better than us? And I think they'll listen to us because we all come from similar backgrounds and similar um, experiences. So I think we're on the front line.
Yeah, we definitely are.
Yeah.
And I,
If
yeah,
Go ahead, would you want to say something?
no, it just feels like, it definitely another, uplifting and motivating factor too is, knowing that I'm really putting in the effort that I said that I was, while I was in there. Sometimes I feel like I could be doing more, but definitely like I've stayed connected. I've tried to, still, give to the community however it may be, and continue to do what I said that I was set out to do.
Man, yeah, man. We appreciate it, man, because them youngsters, they need us, man. They need
Yeah.
us. Also, Tone, what would you like to achieve before it's all said and done? What would you like to? Is there anything more you'd like to accomplish?
So, in the interim, a lot of traveling is something that I'm interested in. Um, just recently, returned from a trip, and so seeing the world, I know like,
Where did you go?
so I went to actually go meet my niece and nephew for the first time. That was in Idaho. But
Mm,
on our way up, we stopped by Zion National Park, Salt Lake City. Uh,
mm,
as we're out there seeing my brother, we went to Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming.
mm.
Came back through Boise, stopped by Nevada. So it was a good road trip. Looking
Man,
forward to many more, man.
man, freedom is good, huh?
Oh, and that's one thing I couldn't wait for, is getting off of parole and saying, okay, I don't have that hanging over my head anymore. Like I could just go and get out there and travel. And so that's, travel and spending, a lot of time with my family. I got now I'm working on getting my passport. Next one is to, my dad's homeland, which is Nicaragua. Planning on a trip earlier next year, and then just continuing to do that, man. Really enjoy life and spending those moments with the people that I love, man.
How long were you on parole?
It wasn't very long. It was a little bit over 2 years,
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
for me, I thought it would be longer. So when you get the prize, like, hey, you're getting off the parole. I did everything that I needed to do. Maintained the job, fell in line with what they were asking from me. Did everything that they, fulfilled my obligations, and the result of that is, now being off of parole.
Man, nice, nice, man. Again, congratulations, Tone, man. I really appreciate you. I always had respect for you, even when I was whooping on you on the basketball court.
Ah, man, I had my favorite little moments too.
No, no,
But
no. You guys beat us a few times
you were
too,
a
man.
beast down low, though. I give you that. Yeah,
Yeah,
you a
man. I
beast down
appreciate
low,
you.
man,
Hey, man, we have to do this again, man.
for sure.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
definitely gonna stay
definitely
in
getting
touch
that
with you.
message out to people, man. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely gonna stay in touch with you when anything comes up, man. I'm gonna be calling.
Okay.
Thank you, Tone, man. I appreciate you, man. You have a good night.
Okay. Likewise, Emmanuel, man.
All right. Camera off.